Hi, I'm Francesco Ricci and I'm a professional photographer, retoucher and educator. I've been using Photoshop for many years and I never ever seen a stuff like this. I'm talking about the new plugin by Carlo Diamanti, Mind the Color, in the version 2.5 now. I want to say that when it comes to color corrections, basically Photoshop just never changed at all because the adjustment layers just always been the same. You know, the RGB curves, the hue saturation, the selective color, the channel mixer, the black and white, the color balance, always being the same. They are cool tools, but you know, sometimes you have to use with the masks, and it's a cool stuff, but sometimes I think you need something more, something smarter and faster, and tools that sometimes, in many cases, can make your life really easier. So let's jump right into Photoshop and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, this is a picture by Carlo Spinoso. Before showing the plugin Mind the Color, I want to talk a little bit about the color harmony, the color theory, because if you want to get close to a particular color harmony in a picture, first of all, you can analyze the hues inside the picture. And in this shot, we can see basically four different hues. We see the orange, the blues, the red, and the greens. But I can see that these blues here, the sofa and the flowers, are not exactly the same. And more important, when it comes to a color harmony, you should always give more weight to a color or to a couple of colors and less weight to another one. You cannot just give the same weight and the same importance to every hue that you see in the picture, because that's distracting and your eye doesn't know where to go. In order to do this, I can decide that I want to give more attention, more weight, more importance to the couple of color blue-orange, and less weight to red and green. So how do we change the weight of a color in a picture? We can do that with three ways, with three elements. We have the size. We can adjust the size of the color, the saturation, and the brightness. But we can say that we cannot change the size here because I cannot make the flowers, the red flowers, smaller or bigger. So I should work on the brightness and or the saturation, the amount of color. So with less saturation, it won't be so much visible. So when I want to desaturate the color, everybody know the tools in Photoshop like selective color or hue saturation. For example, I can grab this tool here, select the red flowers here, and take off the saturation, decrease the saturation. And the result here, how can I call it? A shit. Okay, sorry for the word. But basically, what I did, I selected these red flowers and the skin tone, decreased the saturation as well. But I didn't want to touch the skin tone at all. But so, how is that? Because when I select a color in Photoshop, I'm only selecting the hue. If I don't make any masks, I can only select a hue. No matter the saturation, no matter the brightness, I'm selecting this hue. Yeah, I can use the color range, but in the color range as well is not so smart at this point. So if I want to save the skin tone now, I should grab a brush, a black brush, and paint with black inside the mask and take off the skin tone in this mask. But you know, it's not so precise, it's not so fast, it's not so smart. I should have maybe a more precise mask, maybe a luminosity mask, maybe a hue mask, a saturation mask. But with this new plugin, Mind the Color, when you open it, that's the first thing that you can see. And this is the tool that I'm going to talk about today in this video, the grid. Basically, the grid is a color wheel. You see all the colors around here at certain degrees, and in the center we have the so-called achromatic colors. So the achromatic colors are the colors with no chroma. What I mean with chroma, I mean amount of color. So in the center we have all the neutrals, the dark grays, the light grays, the middle grays, the black and whites. Even if this tool doesn't care about the brightness. There's no brightness changes here. It only concentrates on hue and saturation. And I show you how. Before showing you this, I show you another really smart tool. If you are familiar with the video programs, this is the vector scope. I can activate the vector scope, and I also can set the vector scope as an external vector scope. So I can fix it here, I can stock it here, and I click on vector scope, now is active, and I can active the live update. So any change that I do in the picture will be visible inside this vector scope. So basically this is another color wheel, but this is a wheel for information. Now you can only see the information. This color wheel, this vector scope, doesn't care about the brightness as well. So it only talks about the saturation and the hues. So this is the wheel, you can see the reds, the orange, that's the skin tone here, and there's a line for the skin tone. So this is a color wheel to see the colors, and this is the color wheel to adjust the colors. How can I do it? First of all, I can analyze the picture and select the color of the red flowers. For example, I can click on this selector, select this really saturated red flower, red color here on the flower, click OK, and a point is born here in this section of the wheel. I can click another point, for example this one in the flower, and that's another point. Let's see if there's another one, maybe here. Okay, that's the extreme point in the red saturation. So these 3 points are telling me that these red flowers live in this particular hue section, the reds, because this is the magenta, this is the purple, this is the blue, so this is the red. Then I can select a point in the skin tone, for example in the nose. I can see that there's another point with the same hue in the nose, but at different distance, from this one. And what is this? What is this distance from the center telling me? This distance is talking about the saturation of the color. So this point, now there's no more hue saturation here because now I can select a color not only by its hue level, but also by its saturation level. So I don't want the skin tone to move. Let's see if there's another point here, for example the skin tone. Okay, this is another point in the skin tone. I don't want these 2 points of the skin tone to move at all. They have to be still. So in order to do that, I just click again on the points. I click here and I click here. So now that I click again in these points, they turned into a square because these are circular and this is a square. And when the point is a square inside the grid, it's not moving anymore unless you grab it and you move it. So I can only concentrate on this one, on these 3 points here. So I just said that I want to desaturate these red flowers and not the skin tone. So I take these 3 points and I bring it towards the center. One here, and the other one here. This is the before and after. Basically, only the flowers, the red flowers, are desaturated. The skin tone remained intact, almost totally intact. I can work again on it if I want to be more precise, but this is the magic. I can tell you that you never ever saw stuff like this in Photoshop before, because if I want to do the same thing in Photoshop, I should use a luminosity mask or a channel mask or a saturation mask. But now I'm not masking anything. I'm just moving some points in a wheel. It's so fast and so precise. I can change the hue of these red flowers again and not touching the skin tone. So now these flowers are more orange and less saturated. But I bring them again where they were, but with less saturation. Okay, so this is the before and after. I give a bit of more saturation on the skin. Okay. So now you can clearly see the separation between the red flowers and the skin tone. So, and the vector scope changed as well. You can see how the red has lost some saturation because they are towards the center a little bit more. And that's the first step. Now, I want to concentrate on these blues here, because in order to get to make a simpler color harmony, I want to make these two blue the same, because they're not exactly the same. I can see that this blue flowers here is more saturated than this blue on the sofa. And there's also a slight change in the hue, because this blue I can see as little bit more purplish than this blue on the sofa. So I make another grid, clicking on this button here, create another layer, and now I can select a couple of points in these blue flowers, 1 and 2. Okay, it's the same point. And now I click again in the sofa, a point over here. Okay, so they have almost the same hue but different level of saturation. So I don't want to move this point because this is the point of the sofa. So I click again, I make it a square, and now I only move these other 2 points. I want to bring them towards the center to make them less saturated, and also I want to give a slight change to the hue. I want to bring this purplish hue towards the cyan a little bit more. So I bring these 2 points here towards the center and a little bit down, more down. Okay, so now before and after, these 2 points are more similar. These blue flowers are more similar to this blue of the sofa. I hope that this video helped you to better understand one of these main feature and main tools of this fantastic plugin. So hope this video was helpful, and hope to see you soon in another video. Bye.